Halloween
Forever.
All right, Steve. Boy, all this talk about youths and staying young, stuff like that. You know, I just had a birthday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Feeling kind of old, feeling a little old, Steve. You know, back when I was young, here's how old I am, right? Back when I was young, there were only 25 letters in the alphabet.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. Nobody knew why. Welcome, boys and girls, to a very youthful Minisode Always Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
How'd you feel about that one, Steve?
You know,
It doesn't matter how you felt. I'm sorry. It's an overwhelming urge to do that.
I can tell because for some reason you've also decided to shave a Hulk Hogan mustache into your face.
I did. I did. I shaved my beard off. I kept the Fu Manchu. I've been rocking it for a better part of a week now. I just been cutting promos everywhere. I've been pointing in people's faces. I've been European uppercutting people like just left and right. It's giving me energy. It's giving me confidence. My balls are hanging low.
Sure.
Right. And I'm just going around and I'm just jawing at people.
Sure.
I'm just saying shit. I'm grabbing shit that isn't a microphone, pretending it's a microphone and just spitting in their face. So, you know, this is the new me and I hope everyone, accepts me for who I am now. And if you don't, get the fuck out of the way. Because this is the train that's rolling through town, at least through Halloween.
Right.
Because I'm psyched up. I got my fucking, if you saw on the Instagrams today, I got my monster cereals. I got a belly full of Count Chocula. I got a fucking Fu Manchu. And I'm ready. I don't know why my instinct was to say, I'm getting ready to crank this off. I don't know why I was going to say that. And I made myself preemptively laugh before I said it.
That's just the new energy you have. So, and this is coming up in the Discord right now.
I got Count Chocula. Got my Count Chocula. I got my Fu Manchu. I'm ready to crank down, boys. This is some new me leading up to Halloween.
So this is coming up in the Discord. People are pointing out, he knows that Hulk Hogan is also a piece of shit who's been speaking at Republican conventions and shilling his god-awful real American beer.
You said Hulk Hogan, not me.
I know.
I never said anything about
it's
Hulk
a
Hogan.
Hulk Hogan mustache.
There's plenty. No, well, you should have seen when I originally had it a little longer here. It was more of a Perry Saturn situation, to be honest with you. So I'm not necessarily going for Hulk Hogan. It's just a Fu Manchu. Hulk Hogan's not the only person to ever wear a Fu Manchu. Like I said, I just came off the top of my head. One Mr. Perry Saturn, right? Underappreciated WCW superstar. Maybe a little optimistic, call him a superstar, but he was top tier talent for a second there. Let me know who else has been rocking the Fu Manchu. There's been plenty of people throughout history.
I think one
the
Fu
other
Manchu.
ones that I am coming up. Well, that gentleman as well, but I am coming up with ones in my head. But they do feel as racist as Hulk Hogan, so I'm not saying them. It's like I was going to say Hank Williams Jr. That's not a great one either.
No, Bocephus ain't the best.
But, you know, I'm sticking with Perry Saturn for the time being because everybody else that I'm thinking about is leaning towards the racist side. But this is not a racist Fu Manchu. This is a machismo.
Yeah.
Fu Manchu.
This is you trying to take it back so we don't lose it the same way we lost to Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Steve. No, I couldn't have put that better myself. That's what happens when no one stands up to somebody who tries to bogart a whole facial hair style, and then someone, you know, pastes it into infamy, and then it's off limits for everybody else. I won't let that happen.
Although,
fuck you, Hulk Hogan.
Although I do believe we can just let the skullet die with Hogan.
That's okay. Yeah,
Who
that's
cares
okay.
about losing that?
We can probably leave that one go. We could probably leave that one go, to be honest with you. Yeah, and just the painted orange skin. I think we've lost that one too. Yeah. Between him and obviously Trump. I think we could probably leave that one go as well. Yeah. But that's all right.
I have no interest in it.
The Fu Manchu.
I have no interest in it, but I will defend the handlebar in the Fu Manchu simply because I've also been known in the past to shave my beard down into the Lemmy mutton chops. So like, I can't.
You could kill that.
So I do that as well. But part of the mutton chops is the handlebar. So you can't have one without the other.
I've had that as well in the past. It doesn't go as good for me because as your beard grows down, because you have straight hair, I have curly hair, so mine grows out, and it just doesn't work in the same way. But I can pull off the Fu Manchu. Okay. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was golfing yesterday, played in a little charity golf outing. This fucking thing added 20 yards to my drive. I mean, I was on average. I was fucking smoking balls out there. and also, as you might imagine, ripping cigs. Yeah. And my signature move is I go up, I got my Kerrs hat on. I'm not one of those fancy golfers that got the nice slacks or anything. I come up there with a cigarette in my mouth. I like to flick it just as I get ready to tee off. 0 practice swings, and then just fucking pipe it. Just fucking pipe it. Then do a diamond, cut through the Diamond Dallas Page, bam, and then I hop halfway down the fairway to my ball.
I guess those John Daly tapes have really been working out for you then.
Yeah. Diamond Dallas Page. There's another one. There's another Fu Manchu. He doesn't do anybody wrong besides the fact that he does yoga. I mean, come on. You can't be too threatened by gentlemen just trying to help people's mobility. All right, guys, this is enough about my facial hair. We got a bunch of shit we got to get to at the top of this fucking show. First of all,
beard talk.
Beard talk. Thanks for tuning in for beard talk. Now it's beer talk. Don't get them confused. They're very, very similar. This is, boy, what a time of year for the beer. So I got some tasties. Steve, what are you sipping on? What were you tasting on that burp right before we start recording?
Well, I was tasting on that burp a little bit of hot and a little bit of peanut butter. And I think I finally pushed it to like the ultimate limit. I don't know how much further I can go in the world of adjuncts and crazy bullshit. So I think I found the pinnacle. But I was at JR's the other week. I picked up a 4-pack, and this 4-pack comes from Belching Beaver.
Sounds great already.
And it was made in conjunction with Superstition Meadery. Because
this sounds awful.
They made a series of 11% braggots that they're selling in 4-packs.
Sure.
And honestly, so the 4-pack came 2 and 2. So there's 2 different flavors in the 4-pack. One of them is unfucking drinkable. And I'm super mad about that.
I would probably venture to say both of them are undrinkable by my standards, but you know what? I'm eager to hear what you considered. I'm eager to hear what you consider undrinkable. I mean, it's got to be real dog shit.
Yeah, so they're both 11% braggots. They're both barrel aged.
I'm out already, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm out already on 11% braggots.
They're both barrel aged braggots. The one that I found completely undrinkable was supposed to be a pina colada barrel aged braggot. So it was pineapple, coconut, braggot, vanilla.
Okay.
And it was the most unfucking drinkable thing ever. I have 1 can left, and I'm going to take it to a fantasy football party and just dump it like in a cooler and hope it never follows me home.
Yeah. It's going to be the cat that came back. It's going to be Fred Penner style. You're going to get home and it's going to be in your fridge smiling at you.
But the one I have that is drinkable, the one I do kind of like, it's banana, peanut butter, vanilla, barrel aged braggot.
No, Steve.
Yes.
There's no way that's good. There's no way that's good. It looks like diarrhea. Guys, I am currently I am right now watching. It's Halloween, right, in my mind already. It's almost September. I'm decorating next week. I'm watching Terrifier, the first Terrifier, and I just got past stop grinning and singing while you're trying to drink. You're not a ventriloquist. I'm watching that scene where he goes in and explodes like whatever he does, he just covers the bathroom in shit, and then gets kicked out of the pizza shop. And that was roughly the color of that beverage that you're drinking. It looks like diarrhea.
Yeah, it is. It is probably one of the ugliest looking beers that I've ever had, and it's fucking great. I was so excited because I'm getting all the reactions I'd hoped for. Because you are upset at the color, you're upset at all the adjunct craziness.
I'm upset of the description. Just sounds like a horrible combination of flavors.
Yeah.
Banana, barrel aged, like just everything about it. Sounds like I'm gonna get immediate diabetes.
So I can say the prevalent flavor is peanut butter. You get worse. Like a little bit.
I love peanut butter, but not a barrel aged peanut butter braggot. That's
The barrel isn't that present. It's still there, and it's kind of like on the back burps that you get like barrel hotness, but I get no banana, and the mead is also more prevalent because I assume just whatever they threw in as a beer to blend with the mead is just like a non-recognizable base beer, like a golden ale maybe or some shit like that.
Yay. Yeah, that sounds horrific. I'm gonna do what I can to clear that out of the mind palates of our listeners here.
No,
and it's time, guys. It is, like I said, it's almost September, and it's going to be the 26th of August when this drops, which means we are damn near September, and Oktoberfest, in my mind, is in full swing. Remember, guys, Oktoberfest doesn't actually happen in October. September's prime Oktoberfest month. But I say celebrate year round as far as I'm concerned. I am drinking a little fest beer, a little golden fest beer from one of our local boys here, Cinderlands. Cinderlands Cinderfest Golden Fest beer.
Yeah.
Nice beer. Nice fucking beer. I will say I'm consistently disappointed by a lot of the lager beers here in Pittsburgh as of late. I feel like we were really trending in the right direction, and then I've had some real, not necessarily just shit ones, but like ones that are just like very uninspired. Like, hey, I just had and I won't even call it out because I don't have it in front of me. But I also am forgetting the name of the brewery right now. But it's a brewery that's known for making lager beers. They brew a Czech Pilsner. Hell yeah. Give me that 4-pack, right? I grabbed that 4-pack. I did go down to the Creekside, visit our friends down at the Creekside. Yeah. I picked up that smoked Helles you were telling me about. So I got that. Got this. Got me some Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest, which is the fucking jam every year. Got this. And then I got a 4-pack. I bought a bunch of beer. Got the 4-pack of the lager, the Czech Pale Lager. I think they actually called it a Czech Pilsner. It's like 4.8%. Like it's a Czech 12-degree pale lager. It's brewed with Czech ingredients and no other considerations made. They just made a pale lager with Czech ingredients. They basically took their German lager, their German Pilsner, Brute, all the processes, the mash regime, the boil, everything, and then just replace the Pilsner malt with probably Bohemian floor malted and Saaz. And I'm just like, it's not bad. It's just fucking, it's not what it is, So I'm just curmudgeonly. But I will tell you what, Cinderlands consistently great lager beers in my experience.
Yeah,
they know it. They got it. And this Golden Fest beer is fucking tasty. It's tasty.
Yeah, I do like that one. I've had that one before myself, and I do like it. So, yep.
They did the thing they're supposed to do, which is just, it's a big, hot. What's the ABV on it? Let me see. Where does it say? What a fest beer should be is just a higher ABV. I don't see the ABV on here. I bet it's 6.5%, 6.2, 6.5. It should just be a higher ABV, hoppier Helles. Right. And you decoct it, right? Get it a little rich malt. And that's what it tastes like.
Sure.
It's rich, bready Pilsner malt, some fairly aggressive hops. Hell yeah. It's fucking delicious. This is the year. This is the time of year where the lagers are prevalent. Everyone cares about lagers all of a sudden. And I'm going to get on my fucking high horse. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get on my soapbox and preach about it.
It's my turn, everybody.
What was the... I can't even think of the word that I was thinking. I was going to say neophytes, but I couldn't think of the word. You fucking neophytes and your fucking lager beers. You think you know lager beers. I'm All right, guys, we got a couple other things we got to do at the top of the show. As always, let me remind you, if you like the show, this is the time of year when we start to get some new listeners. They come rolling on in. They just come in, kick the door in like they fucking own the place. They're like, hey, boys, hey, is this some kind of fucking podcast? And we say, where you been? Where have you been all year, you goddamn freeloaders coming over here just on Halloween? We appreciate you. Thanks for coming on over here. Hopefully you continue listening to us past the Halloween season. This is our favorite time of spooky year, but we do spooky shit all year long on the intranets. We have spicy, sticky, sweet new content every Monday on the interwebs, and then one time a month. By the way, if you want to see, announcements when we got new episodes coming out, if you want to help us vote on nonsense, or you want to slide in the DMs and give us some suggestions, whatever, follow us over on social media at Halloween's Forever on Instagram. We also got at Hallow Forever on the X. Just search Halloween is Forever on all the various social medias. Or if you want to shoot us a motherfucking email, like you're my fucking dad, go ahead and send us one. It's halloweenisforeverpod@gmail.com. We will probably respond around Christmas time, I'm going to guess. In any case, we appreciate you here with us. But if you want to help us pick our topics for that first Monday of every month, we do what's called a showdown episode. That's where Steve, and that's when our Patreon guests pick 3 movies. I pick a movie, Steve picks a movie, the Patreon guests collectively pick a movie that is associated with a particular topic. That topic is voted on every damn month. We spun that spinning ass old wheel before the last episode, and we landed on the topic of occult horror. Actually, we landed on 3 topics. They voted, and we did a little poll, and what won was occult horror. What was it? It was occult horror versus J horror versus Child's Play, right? Yeah. So what won was, I thought J horror would win for sure, but maybe everybody was maxed out from listening to me talk about fucking hair extensions. But we are going to do occult horror, which is really fun as well. We announced that we announced that last month for next month's showdown episode. So this is the week wherein me and Steve going to pick our movie associated with the occult horror topic. And then next week we will announce the winner of our Patreon, our patrons on Patreon, and what they're going to pick associated with that occult horror topic. No.
Next week's the showdown, bud.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I was thinking we had one more Monday. We do not have one more Monday. So we're going to do all 3 of them here now, right?
Yes.
So, Steve, I spoke too soon. I was thinking we had one more Monday, and I am wrong. So we are going to have the Patreon pick, and then we're also going to pick our individual movies for occult horror as well. So let's get to that. Let's get to that Patreon pick. Do we know what's on the wheel here currently, or are we just going to spin it and see what comes out?
Yeah, I got what's up on the wheel.
Let me see that fucking wheel, boy. Ooh, that's a tough one. Have we really not done this movie yet?
We really have not done this movie yet.
Wow, that is surprising to hear. Guys, the Patreon pick is in, and it is a perennial favorite of the show, and I'm surprised to hear we haven't done it. House of the Devil from what, 2000 and...
Is it 9 or 11? It's something around there.
I just said 8, which I think is wrong. 2009 sounds right. We'll look it up here. But House of the Devil, that is that's going to be a tough one to beat, because I like that movie a lot. And Steve, I know you're a fan as well.
Yeah. All
right.
That one, there were 2 picks on there that I was 2009. So there were 2 picks I was scared of, which was House of the Devil, which was suggested by our patron Ron, and then our patron Dan threw up the original Wicker Man, and that one I was scared of too.
Didn't we do Wicker Man?
No, we haven't done.
We never did Wicker Man either. Wow.
And then
I looked at those movies and we're just like, oh, we've done Wicker Man, we've done House of the Devil. Like, I just.
And then there was one on there I really wanted to come up. I wanted this one to come up, but it didn't. But it was from our patron James, and he had Demon Wind.
Oh shit, Demon Wind is so fucking fun. It's terrible. But I actually had a little viewing party maybe sometime over the summer here where I had like 4 friends over that were all kind of, I think I might even mention on the show, all like horror newbies, like dabbled in horror, but by no means anything. No, Dan, I do not listen to the podcast. Can you imagine me driving down the road listening to my own fucking voice? I would swerve right into a fucking telephone pole. I never remember what episode, what movies we actually do. Anyway, I had some friends over, like I said, all kind of novice horror folks, and I pulled out that motherfucking Blu-ray of Demon Wind, and submitted that for their approval, and they loved it. They ate the whole thing up. They did not know movies like that existed, and I felt very, I don't know, I would say triumphant in that I was able to introduce them to a world of movies that they did not think was possible.
Yeah, there's a pride in showing somebody something that like is just completely out of their bounds, but also not so like fucked up that they come away like with a bad taste in their mouth. Like you can show plenty of people a Serbian film and like they're gonna cry, and like that's not fun. Right. That's not as fun.
No, no, that's sadistic. Demon Wind, actually a couple of the same guys, not the same group of 4, but two of those 4. I was over at one of their house a couple of Fridays ago. We were drinking some beers, and they were like, "Hey, come on, let's pick a dumbass, let's pick some crazy ass horror movie to watch." I opened up Tubi. The first suggestion that came up under horror was Sleepaway Camp. I said, "Giddy up, let's go!"
Yeah,
and I walked them through their first viewing of Sleepaway Camp, and you know what got the biggest pop? Of course, besides the ending, which is obviously the culmination of the whole thing,
just any of Ricky's lines.
Ricky's lines, they loved Ricky's lines, but the thing that got the biggest pop was the second time around with the cop and his mustache.
Oh yeah,
when it's super fake.
Yeah,
because he clearly cut it off and had to come back and reshoot it. Yeah, that got a big pop.
Yeah. I remember my fond memory and feeling that is very similar is Death Race 2000 to friends back in high school.
Oh, great one. Yeah.
Like what a silly, fucked up, like out of control movie, but it also has actors you recognize in David Carradine and Sylvester Stallone. So like imagine showing high school kids for the first time like, "Hey guys, I have this Sylvester Stallone movie." And they go, "Okay, yeah, like Rambo, Rocky, we love that." And then you show them Mean Joe for Turbo. It's like, Machine Gun Joe.
Yeah, I want it. Machine Gun Joe. Yeah, he's like a Dick Tracy villain, but like his face is only like 1/4 is fucked up, but it's his regular face. It's not makeup. It's my one friend Adam, like he's watched some with me. We've watched The Stuff. I think we watched like Gator Bait. A couple like that. But yeah, Sleepaway Camp and Demon Wind sent them for a loop. So, all right. House of the Devil. Ron's suggestion, House of the Devil. That's gonna be a tough one to beat. Remind me, Steve, who won the last Showdown episode?
I believe it was you.
Yeah, you fucking bet it was me. That was a rhetorical question. I'm going to pick what my movie is. Steve is just staring at me with contempt right now. He's biting his lip. He's very upset. All right. I am going to pick. Okay, this is a little bit of a dark horse movie. It's certainly not going to be as much of a crowd pleaser as House of the Devil. I'll be honest with you. I did not realize that Wicker Man was on the table. I love Wicker Man. Wicker Man, absolutely occult horror. 1,000% occult horror. But that movie is also the poster child for like folk horror.
Yeah.
Right? As well. So I don't think people think occult horror immediately when they think of that movie. I think they think of folk horror. I am going to go one that is firmly within the topic, is a movie that I think some people have gotten and appreciated. It's a foreign film, not super foreign. It's in English, so it doesn't make it that foreign.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm picking?
No. I was just like, you said it's not super foreign, but I was like, okay.
Yeah, well, it is. It's foreign. It's across the Atlantic, but it is. It is in. The thing that provides barriers for people in terms of foreign films is they don't like to read subtitles.
Yeah,
right,
I thought you were going like super deep because I couldn't think of like an occult horror that is like super deeply, like subtitled and everything like that. Like, yeah.
No, I am going with 2017's. I think it actually might be 2016. This is saying 17, but I think I wrote down 16. A Dark Song.
Oh, okay.
For those of you who are familiar with this movie, Steve, have you seen A Dark Song?
I know of it. I haven't watched it all the way through, but now I will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like this movie. I like the characters. It's a bit of a chamber piece, if you will. Mm-hmm. There's some connections to some flicks we've already talked about on the podcast, and it's a bit of a surprising film. So I'm going with 2016's A Dark Song.
Okie dokie.
What are you thinking, Steve?
I'm thinking that didn't help me any. I was hoping you, because I've had like a huge list. This
I do too.
Genre.
I really had to narrow it down.
Yeah, this whole genre is so fucking big. I'm gonna take a leap. I'm scared. I don't know.
Jump.
I'm gonna go with Starry Eyes.
Oh, okay. I like that movie. I've only seen it once, it was when it came out. What year was this? This is a fairly recent movie. What year did it come out?
That's 2014.
Okay. Oh my God, it's been a decade. Holy shit! I feel like I just watched this movie.
Yeah.
It could have been a couple years after it came out, but the fact that if I would have guessed, I would have said 2018, 2019, but it was actually 2014. Makes me feel even older. But this is a fun flick. This is a fun flick, and it's got big Rosemary's Baby vibes. Mm-hmm. I like this movie a lot.
Yeah, it's
I like that we didn't. I picked A Dark Song, hoping we wouldn't go. Not that House of the Devil is like a Meg Rails type of occult horror movie, but it's amongst horror fans, it's a darling.
Yeah. This shit.
You're immediately regretting your pick?
Well, okay, so under the new rules, things become harder for you and I to win.
Yes.
Because we're so fucking stubborn to never just pick the other guy's film.
Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily. That's not true.
Well, but also the other thing is I just don't see either of us picking either of these films over House of the Devil. Although I think I do kind of like Starry Eyes more than House of the Devil. So I don't know.
I haven't watched Starry Eyes in at least 7 or 8 years. Yeah. So I'm excited to revisit that. So A Dark Song I haven't watched in a couple of years, to be honest with you. And House of the Devil I've probably seen 4 times, but I'm going to watch it under a little more critical eye this time.
Yeah. So can I throw you the other 2 movies that I was like bouncing with? That I was I gave up on. So one was Kill List from 2011.
Kill List was my number 2. On my list.
Yeah.
If you picked A Dark Song, which I didn't think you were going to, but if you did, I was going Kill List.
Yeah. So like Kill List by Ben Wheatley, it's a underappreciated one of his, and it's like a lesser known one because he's obviously far more known for like A Field in England and then like his other like non-horror stuff at this point. Like The Meg 2. I just didn't think that would do very well in a poll because I didn't think people would know it. People would know Starry Eyes by name.
Yeah, Kill List, I didn't not pick it because of that. But Kill List is definitely one of those movies that suffers from the phenomenon we've talked about time and time again. Whereas if it was named better, people would know about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the
it's
other
a
one,
twisty, turny. Yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah. And then the other one also has that same exact problem is the Ritual.
Yeah, The Ritual is great too. I think a lot of people have seen The Ritual, and it's more recent.
Yeah.
And it was on one of the big streaming services. Wasn't it on Netflix or something like that? Like, it was on one of the big streaming services.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people saw it on streaming.
The thing I'm banking on, I'm hoping for, that will help me out in the end, is because Starry Eyes stars Alexandra Esso. And since Starry Eyes, she's gone on to do The Pope's Exorcist, The Midnight Mass, The Haunting of Bly Manor, Dr. Sleep. Like, she played Wendy Torrance in Dr. Sleep. So, like, I'm hoping all of these great roles that she's built up since Starry Eyes, people have gone back to Starry Eyes and are now, like, you know, like cult fans of that. And so I hope that helps me if we have to go to a poll at the end of this showdown.
Yeah, I've seen Starry Eyes pop up on streaming services more, I feel like, in recent months too. And it might be because, you know, she has a new movie coming out or something like that. But you know what? I think those are three, you know, fairly, I mean, on the surface, I would put House of the Devil a little bit above. But like I said, I also have been probably given House of the Devil a little bit more of a bump because I love the aesthetic of it.
Right.
But I'm interested to see those other movies I haven't seen as many times side by side with it. So we shall see, guys. Here's what you do, right? You go over there and follow us on the social medias, and we'll let you know when the Showdown episode comes out. Spoiler alert, it's coming out a week from Monday, the week from when this fucking thing comes out. So first Monday of September. And then if it comes down to it, which it sometimes does, that vote will go out on our polls on Instagram and X, and then you can help select who the Showdown topic winner is, and whoever wins gets to pick the punishment episode for the very next week. Before we get into this week's movie, which we're 45 minutes in the podcast, we haven't even talked about the movie we're talking about this week yet. Let's talk about our Patreon exclusive podcast, Youth Group is Forever, and some of them other perks you get over on a Patreon. Steve, why don't you tell the boys and ghouls about that?
Yeah, as you've already been hearing, we've been talking about who's in the chat tonight. We've been talking about the films they're picking for showdowns. So you get all that if you sign up. You get recos, like, it's bi-monthly at this point, with just like all the shit I watch off the show. I watched like this fucking shitty ass movie called Art of Eight Limbs. It's like a martial arts film.
Art of Eight Limbs?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I was intrigued. Like, I'm into Muay Thai fucking films. You know, I love Tony Jaa films.
Sure.
This film sucks.
Yeah.
So, but I wrote about that.
Save yourself the trouble. Read Steve's reviews so you don't stumble down a Tubi rabbit hole that you know, horribly regret.
Yeah. So you get all that, and you get the exclusive podcast every month. We already had a series that was based on Fast and the Furious. Now we're doing Christian horror films, and goddamn, I just saw the runtime on the new one for next episode.
Now, make sure you're not watching the director's cut. What's the runtime that you're seeing?
This is the fun thing about Christian horror movies, is that you can just upload them to YouTube and nobody gives a shit. but the runtime I saw was an hour 48.
All right, the one I saw was an hour 40, so it's not that big of a difference, I guess.
Maybe there's ads,
but I do know
maybe there's casino ads built into that because I didn't watch it yet.
I do know that there is a director's cut of this, which is hilarious. That is longer, but the version I watched was an hour 40, I believe, but I might be wrong. By the way, I love that as we're talking about the Christian horror movies, I'm watching the scene in Terrifier where the infamous scene from the first Terrifier movie with the hacksaw. So just FYI, I just know where my head's at as we're talking about this. Yeah, so Steve made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies, which, in case you're not aware, suck asshole. And then we talked about them, and we released a series of podcasts, one for every single one of those fucking dumbass movies. And then as revenge, I'm now picking a bunch of Christian horror movies that Steve has to watch. We call it Youth Group is Forever, and every week you go to hell for doing something different. Innocuous things like masturbation and or looking up porn, right? Saying that you like strangers cooking more than your grandma's. Those are the types of things you go to hell for typically in these movies. This movie, just as a little bit of a spoiler, we are going to do a movie where you go to hell for accidentally getting tricked into creating a time machine that sends assassins back in time to assassinate Jesus Christ. If you know what that movie's called, if you have any idea of like Christian horror sci-fi, Christian genre films, if you will, you know exactly what movie I'm talking about. We are going to be talking about a movie called Assassin 33 AD, where, you guessed it, bad people make a time machine. They trick nerds into making time machines so they go back and try to assassinate Jesus Christ. That'll send you right to hell, guys. Spoiler alert, that'll send you straight to hell. This movie sucks, is stupid, and I hate it. But I've already watched it. So now Steve has to watch it, and then I get to wallow in his... Actually, I will say this, it kept my attention. There's so many boring parts, as you might expect.
Yeah.
But it kept my attention better than some of the other ones we've watched already.
I mean, in fairness, it's a great premise for a story.
Yes.
But it's just told by the wrong people, is all it is.
I don't want you to get your hopes up.
Oh, no, they're not up. They're not up. I know they do a bad job. I'm just saying the premise is awesome. If you were in an elevator and you pitched somebody time traveling assassins go back to kill Jesus, that's a fucking great premise. But I'm sure there is all kinds of awful messages built into it. And like you said, it's boring. So, yeah. Yeah, there's not as many like hateful, bad indoctrination propaganda type messages as there are in some of the other movies we've watched. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're there. Sure.
But they were trying to make they were really trying to go for it on this one.
Sure.
This isn't the lock-in. Right.
Yeah.
This is something they were really going for. They're trying to build out a significant production around this. And it just falls flat on its face. But anyway, if you want to help us, join us as we record live or just after the fact, listen to us make fun of these godforsaken, fucking horrible Christian propaganda, right wing fucking films, come on over and join us. Patreon.com/Halloween's Forever. All right. Let's get into this fucking movie. We decided to do this, as we oftentimes do in our what we call minisodes, which are rarely at all mini in length. We like to go on and do something that's topical, right? Sometimes we do a brand new release that's getting a theatrical release, maybe something that's hitting the Shudder, maybe something that's hitting one of the other streaming services. And that's kind of what we did with this one. We decided we were going to watch Divinity, which is from last year, from 2013. However, just hit the Shudder recently. So Steve, you hadn't watched this before we decided to do it, right?
Nope.
Yeah, same. On the surface, looks interesting. It's fairly interesting premise, weird cast, and definitely going for a very specific aesthetic. And I'm genuinely, I basically saw a little bit of a green light and a little bit of a red light when I looked at the cast list on this. First of all, I see Mr. Steven Dorff,
right,
who I very much enjoy. Love a Steven Dorff. My most memorable role, and many people remember him as, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head, Steve, you might remember, the villain from Blade, in the first Blade movie.
Yeah.
A badass villain.
Deacon Frost.
Deacon Frost. I knew you'd know his name. Deacon Frost from Blade. Fucking great villain. That scene with the fucking vampire nightclubs. Yeah. So many of you will know Stephen Dorff. I enjoy him as a performer. He's been in a lot of, medium to low budget stuff and always does a great job. Also, I'm a fan of one Mr. Scott Bakula. I see a Scott Bakula on there. I like me some Quantum Leap. I will not say I've watched every episode of Quantum Leap, but I've watched quite a few. I enjoy it a lot. He's in a lot of other stuff, but he is far and away a number one with a bullet. His best known credit is as Sam Beckett in Quantum Leap. So now I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. Then Bella Thorne. Now, I don't personally have anything against Bella Thorne. Also, Stephen Ogg, by the way, too, underappreciated performer. I saw him on there. He's in there for exactly 1 second.
Yeah.
But then I saw Bella Thorne, and I'm like, see, this is giving me a bad message. Not because she's really not even that I had any indication of what type of performer she was. It's just that it felt like a casting decision that was there just to draw in a certain sect of viewership. Like we're going for the Gen Z, folks here because they know who she is from the Instagram or whatever. Because correct me if I'm wrong, because I am, I'm a 39-year-old man. She's just famous from social media, right? She didn't do a thing before there that I'm aware of.
I don't know who this person is, Brian. I am old. So
okay, I am as well, but at least I knew who she was, so I feel slightly less old. She is an actress and singer, Annabella Avery Bella Thorne, known as Bella Duff. Okay, she's in a bunch of movies. Yeah, she's just famous from social media. Yeah, I have no indication. I think she literally just got famous from being pretty on Instagram. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way.
Like, I think she definitely had intentions of being an actress for a long time because, like, her first acting, quote, credit goes all the way back to 2003 when she was just an extra on Stuck on You, that Greg Kinnear, Matt Damon film where they were Siamese twin brothers.
Oh God, I forgot that existed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like she's
okay. So she was a small child, though.
Right. But as she got her start as like a small child actor doing, child acting roles, just like none of it ever caught on. And then I assume she got famous from, Instagram, and like she was, I guess if I had to guess, her biggest like breakout role is when she's doing something called Zendaya and Bella Thorne Fashion is My Kryptonite or whatever in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I don't know what that even is. It's a music video, I guess. So
I'm looking on here. She was on a Disney Channel show for a period of time. Boy, this is currently two old white guys trying to figure out who a young celebrity is.
Yeah, it's just we're just two old cranks trying to figure out who a young pretty lady is. It doesn't. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, she's been on some acting stuff. No, she's been in some acting stuff. I don't think she's done anything of significant consequence. She won a Pornhub Visionary Award. She had directed an adult film, Him and Her, in 2019, which was apparently well received. I think she's really been all over the fucking place. I'm not going to lie. She's very attractive. She seems to be, she's fine in terms of an actor. But I will say that she has a very small part in this movie, and she is 100% there just to put her name on IMDb.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who just have really small parts and they are just kind of gobbled up for being pretty. And that's about it. Like Kaylee Cohen, who like she's got a lot of credits recently, but she's also just another young, pretty actress who's been in a lot of stuff. She was in Willy's Wonderland. So we've seen her there.
Yeah, which had a similar type of cast. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm just saying this. This movie has an air of cynicism, I will say, that it feels like it's a bit of a, hey, let's get some eyes on this by putting the right people in it. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's a million movies that people said the same things about in the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s and every decade that we now look at and go, oh, what a great movie, you know? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I've summed up this movie in two different ways for myself. Way one is that this is crimes of the future for dumb guys. Because that's what it feels like. Or this is, what if a cologne ad was 90 minutes long?
I actually said, that's really funny you said that. I said, what if a cologne ad, what if the director of cologne ads made a Sega Genesis commercial? That's what I said.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, it's just...
Yeah. It's a sexy, cryptic Sega Genesis commercial directed by somebody who's only ever did cologne ads.
Yeah.
Or what if Sega Genesis was a fragrance? There you go.
What if Sega Genesis was putting out a fragrance? Sure.
Yeah.
What if they had to somehow advertise Vector Man as a cologne? But
what if Vector Man was combined with that episode of Raw in, like, I want to say 98 or 99 when Mae Young gave birth to that hand?
Sure. Yeah. And it was all in black and white.
That's what this. Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah. I don't even completely dislike the film, but it is just I didn't either. It is dumb.
It's a dumb movie. I didn't completely dislike it. I will say that I made the mistake of looking. You know, I didn't look up the plot lines or anything, but I looked up the director because I didn't recognize his name, Eddie Alcazar, which sounds like a name that sounds familiar, but I have no idea who he is. And he seems like a crazy douchebag. I'm just gonna say it. Like, he seems like a wild douchebag. But he doesn't really have very mostly writer credits.
Yeah.
He wrote a short called The Vandal. He wrote a short called Fuck You in 2016. That's not a joke. He wrote a movie called Tapia in 2013. He's been around for a second. I think this is his first feature-length directorial. He also wrote this movie, directorial debut. Like I said, he just seems like a crazy douchebag that I personally would not like as a human. So that's why I'm like viewing a lot of these casting decisions through a cynical lens, perhaps.
I can back you up on that. But for me, he's more of like Schrodinger's douchebag. Because I just don't know for sure. I'm more leaning towards the side that he is kind of just like he's just like a dumb guy with like some creative ideas. Because one of those films was like a lot of his films get made because he gets money from bigger names. So like this film, it was produced by Steven Soderbergh, and whatever you think about Steven Soderbergh is what you think about Steven Soderbergh. He has some good things. Solaris is unwatchable, so you know that's whatever you want. Sex, Lies, and Videotape, that was good back in the day. Traffic, it's whatever. Aaron Brockovich is fine. You know, like there's a whole bunch of there's a bunch of ways you can go with that. The other person, which more confirms the theory of being a douchebag, is Darren Aronofsky also helps Eddie produce films.
Oh my God. I was literally going to say, this guy seems like a less famous Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
I was just about to say it, and I wish I did now, because that is 100% how I read this, is less famous, wannabe Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people love Darren Aronofsky films. I have had a couple of recent conversations, not even recent, I would say in the last few years, I've had a couple of conversations where I either met somebody for the first time or was interacting with somebody for the first time that I liked, but like talking about them talking about movies for the first time, you know, maybe we did a J and you're sitting there, hey, what kind of music do you like? What kind of movies do you like? And in two separate instances with two separate people, they mentioned that they like Darren Aronofsky. I saw our friendship shrivel up, just melt off into the ether. And this guy, boy, he's going for that vibe.
Yeah.
Little edgelordy, like I'm an artsy edgelord.
Yeah. Which like it's the edgelordness, but it's also just the dumbness in this film. And like,
yeah,
this film is built off the idea of like, hey, I'm going to throw a bunch of really just obtuse imagery at you. It's going to be confusing for a while, but I know that your IQ ain't that high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spoon feed literally everything you need to understand this film to you. So you get it.
It's simultaneously the most vague and least vague movie I've ever seen. Like it just takes a long time to start explaining things to you. Then it feels like halfway through the movies, like they were watching the dailies and they were like, do you think people are going to understand this? And they're like, well, what people? And they're like people who like follow Bella Thorne on Instagram.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Are they going to understand what's happening? No, they're going to get mad and shut it off. Fuck. All right. Rewrite. Yeah.
Bella Thorne fans do not get this movie.
No, there's too much subtext. You have to have someone that comes on and explains what they should be thinking, and then they do that. It's very heavy-handed at times. Also, I will say they take a couple of chances on some stuff and spend some money on some stuff, which we'll get to, that I very much like and appreciate.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that this is like irredeemable dog shit.
No,
it just feels like it was made. The filmmakers were looking at it through either a dumb or cynical lens or both.
Yeah, it is an arty film with attempts at experimental filmmaking that is made for dumb people to feel smart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like this film, it looks completely different from a lot of stuff you'll see in the theater. You know, it has a very unique look to it because it's shot in this grainy black and white. Like right away, black and white reads pretentious to a lot of people. You know, and then it has this retro futurist feel to it, and it has this unexplained plot until they decide to explain it to you. But it's for people to watch this film and then come away feeling smart and enriched. Like they I
just took in art.
Right. Yeah. I took in art and I'm enriched, despite the fact that it is just hand fed to you like you're feeding a pony an apple. The film lays its hand flat and then you can just eat the apple slices off of it and go, I'm so smart.
Yeah. Even in some scenes, they actually chew the apple up, spit it into their palm, and then you just slurp up the already chewed apple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who are joining the show, who don't listen or haven't listened before, and you're getting to this episode because it's near Halloween, you were looking for a spooky podcast, and you're thinking, wow, these are a couple of pretentious dickheads.
Yep.
Shut it off. Get the fuck off the podcast. If you like this movie, you're a rat fuck. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's yeah, like you said, it is if we're gonna make listen, we were just talking about how much we like Demon Wing.
Yeah.
I'm not above dumb cinema, but dumb cinema that is trying to be something it's not is I think what stuck in my craw about this film. But like I said, visually, I think there's some cool stuff. And towards the end, there's one element that I don't know that I love, but I just think it was
it's a big swing and you like it.
It's a big swing and I like it. Yes, for those of you who are new to the show, I like big swings pretty much across the board. So, I mean, we'll set it up really quickly here. There's a lot of just like super vague like going into an eye, like let's zoom into an eye, and there's a lot of like almost Rorschach test looking fucking almost ink blot looking things, like a kaleidoscope in black and white, and consciousness. Like that's what the beginning feels like.
I got really upset with the first couple like minutes of this film because, like you said, it's doing like this mirrored ink blot.
Dan, how dare you? Dan just said Fast and Furious was a big swing. I'm sorry. I got triggered for a sec. Sorry, Steve.
But the opening has this kind of mirrored effect, and the mirrored effect goes through a lot of parts of the film as being arty, arty framing and that. But it opens with kind of this beating rib cage, and I go, oh fuck! It starts with the Alone in the Dark poster.
Yeah, I know exactly what poster you're talking about because I had a friend who had someone in their suite in college that absolutely had that.
Yeah.
But it's also funny that we were talking about big swings, and then you mentioned arty. You were like, something is arty, and I'm looking at that scene in Terrifier where he cuts the woman's boobs off and walks around naked with her boobs on with the wig. I'm like arty and big swings and arty. Yeah. God, I love this movie. So all right. Yeah, the intro, I mean, it really that sequence annoyed me right off the bat. But then I saw Scott Bakula and I got excited for a second. And basically Scott Bakula is doing mysterious science. That's all we know. There's like these two guys, right? And I was calling them the Tank Top Twins, but they turn out to be referred to as the brothers, which there's some eyebrow raising elements here about two people being actual biological brothers. But anyway, the Tank Top Twins, they climb out of some glowing holes in the desert, and they're wearing cool tank tops, and they're carrying like a gym bag, right? And they're I don't know, I don't know if you're up to no good, up to something, right? And then you keep getting this cut back. There's this cat, right? It's Stephen Dorff's character. He is playing Jackson Pierce, and he's pitching this kind of miracle product that is called Divinity. It's like a youth serum. It's fountain of youth stuff. It's pretty straightforward. Stephen Dorff is playing Scott Bakula's kid, right? So Scott Bakula, we learn pretty quickly, has since passed away. Stephen Dorff has kind of taken up the mantle and commercialized some great scientific discovery that his father has made. He's just kind of a regular guy who got rich off something his dad invented, right? They're showing him eating soup and shit, right? He's got this young lady that's like he's banging, right? And he's also like virtually filling bottles of Divinity with his Commodore 64. I don't know how that happens from his bedroom. Yeah. That's like, how the fuck does that happen? So I will say the aesthetic of this movie is very distinct, but it does feel like this guy, the director writer, had like a million ideas and he just threw them into a blender and then just poured out and shot whatever came out of the fucking blender. Yeah,
because there definitely is like this retrofuturism, but it's an uneven mix of retrofuturism. A lot of it is biting off like 70s, 80s computer tech. Of like, the super, like you
which
just,
is like, okay, popular aesthetic right now, fine.
Yeah, which you just said, the Commodore 64. But I mean, it looks like all the computer stuff is coming off the computers in Alien, or shit like that. But there's also kind of this, I just noticed it on like some of the light fixtures and stuff. There's this kind of Barbarella, kind of 50s, 60s pop. Futurism to it.
And then there's also this very distinctly 50s, 60s style commercialism, convenience products, convenience foods. In this case, like it's like it almost has this. Oh, Jesus Christ. What was the big series that just came out that was on Prime and the video games and all that stuff? Why can't I think of it? You were saying you bought some of the video games and were playing them.
Oh, Fallout. Yeah.
It almost has this 50s commercialism, post-apocalyptic 50s commercialism Fallout feel to it at times too. Like, and literally at one point, they have, I guess it looks like if somebody made like a 2-stroke gas-powered fleshlight.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the advertisements. So it's very corny too at that point. And also that's Stephen Ogg. That's the only time we get him on the screen, I think.
Yeah, he just shows up to have his JO machine like plug into his JO machine.
I wondered for a second. I was like, was that their Cheddar Goblin? Was that what they were going for?
Right.
Was that supposed to be their Cheddar Goblin? Because it didn't hit.
It's weird how, but I mean, just like it's weird how like these commercials are funny and they're like disgusting to kind of look at too. Because like, you know, one is for a JO machine, the other is that Kaylee Cohen girl who is like selling a breakfast cereal called Flexies, which comes with Divinity at the bottom.
Yeah.
And like she's just like,
yeah,
she is totally horned up. I think her hair was like kind of up in a beehive almost, and she's like pouring the milk all over her body, and like so they're projecting this future of just like the most disgusting sexed up
everything's super hypersexual.
Yeah, consumerism is what it is. And like as you learn, like the whole trick behind Divinity is like you take Divinity and it essentially makes you immortal, and it gives you like your best body possible, and you know you just don't get sick, you live forever. And they do that because there is no reproduction anymore. Like it's a 97% infertility rate. So instead of trying to solve that, they just decided let's live forever with our best bodies.
Or, and I might have missed this, I was under the impression, and again, this movie is pretty vague, and things do get explained explicitly at some point, and I thought that they explained that Divinity was what was making people, Divinity is making people sterile.
I didn't get that. I got it the other way around, that people became sterile first, because that was such a hard, because the way it's produced is reliant on the growing of fetuses.
It is. The reason I thought that is because the one character that we're getting introduced to in a second says something along the lines of like, I haven't taken it, I'm clean, which means that she is fertile. Right. I don't know.
Maybe that is the hook to it then. But that also,
I don't know that it matters.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because she was like, I'm natural or something. I forget what she says, or I'm clean, or I'm natural, or whatever. Anyway, yeah, I mean, that's what Divinity does. It is the fountain of youth, and it's like the giving in to all the shallow pleasures of not just commercialism, but vanity, I would say, right? Youth and vanity and, frivolous behavior and all that's supposed to be the message here. And it's heavy-handed the whole way through. But yes, ultimately the Tank Twins roll into to Jackson's pad, and he's banging on this young lady, and then they like touch his stuff, and they're touching all his stuff. They're touching his jelly beans, and they like are looking at his karate mag. And at first, like when they looked over the karate mag, and I was like, "Oh, sick karate mag!" But then he looked over it, and like the page kind of lit up for a second. And I was like, "Whoa, did they just Neo that and learn all his karate moves?" Like I thought for a sec that's where it was going, but it didn't.
Yeah, it does.
But is that what it means?
Yeah, I mean at the end, because they flash all the symbols from the karate mag on the screen while he's doing the fight.
Oh yeah, so they did learn the karate moves. Okay, cool. I was like, oh, that's kind of sick. They look at the karate mag and they learn, because that's the thing that we all did when we were kids, like, 40-year-old, people. We looked at the karate mags. We're like, oh shit, we're going to learn some sick karate moves from this, but you never did. But then they find his prize, whatever. I don't know what it is, from his dad. And then the whole time you're getting this like interstitial cuts to Bakula explaining various things, and he's explains the effects of divinity are only physical, and mental deterioration continues. So that's obviously a downside as well, or at least initially when he was developing it. You also get this tidbit that Daddy Bakula never really had time for Jax because of his scientific pursuits.
Mm-hmm.
The Tank Twins, he basically has this, like, it looks like a like if you were to go to one of those really douchey like ice hotels that you see on like Travel Channel and stuff, and that's something you feel like you would like get a drink in. It just looks like this square block of ice that's got like straws or something coming out of it.
It's got light up milk in it.
And yeah, and that's apparently where he's got all his youth juice in, and they're diluting it down to divinity. So putting a very small amount of the youth juice into this elixir that they're selling as divinity. They shoot him with some sort of electricity gun, and then the girl escapes, and it's just, they trap him in an electricity gun. I don't know.
Getting blasted with a taser as you nut is got to be wild, though.
Oh yeah, dude, it was probably fucking intense. I'm gonna do that later to myself. I'm gonna choke myself and blast myself in the nuts with a taser. Also, this is all pre-credits, by the way, guys. Like this is one of those movies that hits the credits like 20 minutes in, which I always kind of like. I don't know, because it just feels like such a feels like somebody just slaps you in the ear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh Jesus Christ, we're watching a movie. We're just seeing the credits.
I just saw a movie recently that does it 44 minutes into the movie, and
that's pretty far, because I remember one time we watched a movie that was like 40 minutes in. I thought that was wild.
But the movie that incorporates it, I don't want to give it away because I just want it, like, you can read about it on the recos later this week, but the way it's incorporated is so fucking great because it splits the movie in two, and you go, oh yeah, here we fucking go now. And like now you... Oh,
I wonder if we're talking about the same movie.
I don't know. This one's pretty new. This one's pretty new, but...
Okay. No, the one I'm watching is not that new.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe it is in the last handful of years. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, so we hit the credits here. We get more, sexy Sega Genesis commercial. And then we get the Bella Thorne. And we get her basically twice. She's just in like a fucking green screen, right? She's got like a little tight outfit on. She's talking to her army of ballerinas. I don't know. It's a bunch of women who we come to learn are like some of the last fertile women, I think, on the planet. I think that's what we're meant to believe.
Maybe.
But we also have, because that's why they're going after what's her name later on.
Right. I don't know if they're fertile or not. They also have figured out how to Hollow Man, turn themselves invisible, skeleton second, but they also reminded me of the coven of space witches from Space Mutiny, and then
yeah, a little bit.
End of the film, they just redo her the midsummer scene at the end, and I'm just like,
well, they also give her a little bit of like, I'm getting a little Life Force vibes too. Yeah. It is absolutely feels like a portion of the movie that is shoehorned in to find a place for Bella Thorne to say more than 5 words. It has almost no consequence. You get this little scene with her. She's not very good at delivering lines. I mean, she's supposed to be being kind of robotic in the way she's delivering the lines, but she's talking to a bunch of, like I said, like, I don't know, gymnastics looking women or adult ballerinas. I don't know. And they seem to be collecting a bunch of women because there are now way less women, and they seem to indicate that they don't know why, but we get more about this story of, people being sterile and all that as we move forward. We get all this whole like mid-century commercialism angle that doesn't really seem to match the time setting here. Everything seems very dissonant. There's like sexy 900 numbers and robot sex toys, but there's also like canned convenience foods, and it just, if this is a dystopian future, I guess that it could make sense that those things happen simultaneously, but it feels pretty dissonant.
Like you said, it's based on that like Fallout aesthetic of it's vast wastes, because that's what we are kind of led to believe. Like between Jackson's house and his brother's house, it's just a vast wasteland. There's nothing out there. Everything is dead. There's no crops. There's, just like a cabal of space witches hiding underneath the sand. And that's about all you get. But you see all this gross consumerism. And then you see that Jackson also has the ability to like either import or create or whatever it is. He has like a whole lavish spread of food that no one else seems to ever have.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Fucking big old hams and all types of shit. We then just get like a 10-minute I'm exaggerating, but we get a several minute interlude of the twins just like wrestling with their shirts off for a while. Then they like shit shower, shave. Yeah, they go to visit Jackson, whom they have now like strapped to a chair. And they give him some of his, nonsense, right? They're pumping the divinity juice, not the divinity, but the pure concentrated stuff that they make the divinity out of, right into his veins. And there's just a bunch of vague dialogue about like he's trying to figure out why they're there and all this stuff. The fact that they're giving him this concentrated juice, he's like, it'll kill me. And they're like, I don't think it will. And the twins claim they know where it comes from and how it's made. And he starts yelling, so they choke him out. It's just a big, long dialogue that you learn very, very little from. And you just know that Jackson is being, they're kind of, you get the idea that they're getting back at him in some capacity. Like they are kind of going vigilante justice on this bajillionaire who is, poisoning the entire world. So like maybe they're activists of some sort or something like that. Then this woman with these long braids shows up, Nikita. And she, again, there's a lot of scenes of just people walking around touching shit in Jackson's house. Yeah. Just like sensually touching knickknacks and saying cryptic nonsense.
Which is all that Cologne ad stuff. You would see that in Cologne ads of like just women walking past pieces of art and then they drag their fingers sexily across a statue of a panther and you go, ooh, I want to smell like whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly. And they just look at the glass peacock that they just touched and they're like, serenity is forever or whatever. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's what a lot of this movie is. And they have a drink, and I don't understand this part, but she comes in, she's like, what's up, boys? And she's kind of given like high price call girl vibes. And then it turns out I think that's exactly what she is.
Yes.
But she rolls in and she's like, hey bitches, let's have a drink. And these two little squirrely guys with the tank tops, she like explains to them how fish reproduce. And I don't know if it's to like get them horny. I'm not really sure. But then they eat some cold cuts. I don't know. The drink that they have, it just looks like it's in a regular liquor bottle. But the one guy like takes a drink and like coughs and screams after he takes a shot of whatever he's like, what was that supposed to be funny? That was bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's the tonal problems with this film of just like sometimes things are silly in this film and it's fine for them to be silly. And I wish it was more silly more of the time because it feels too much of the time like it's taking itself seriously and it's trying to tell again, like Darren Aronofsky, it is trying to tell like a sort of retelling of a biblical story in a way, because I feel like what we're watching with the two tank top twins, they are star children and they never really confirm it one way or the other, but it's like they could be aliens, they could be angels, but I feel like what we're really watching is kind of a retelling of the Sodom and Gomorrah story, where the angels came to Earth into Sodom and Gomorrah, and then basically were like taken advantage of by, you know, like all the perverts in Sodom and Gomorrah. Like that's what they find themselves in towards the end of the film, is like they're in that just disgusting hedonistic party.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like we're kind of seeing that, as well as like, you know, just like a little bit of Cain and Abel that is between Jackson and Rip.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that business. There's also like the two sets of brother dynamic. But in any case, after they have a drink, they scream it out, they eat some cold cuts, and then they have a threesome. And this is when I'm like, are they actual brothers? They don't really look alike. So I feel like they're not actual brothers. But it skis me out a little bit.
You know what? It skis me out because the one brother is hitting it from behind. And then the other brother is just...
They're laying on the bed, by the way.
Yeah.
They're all laying horizontal on the bed.
Yeah, they're all laying horizontal on the bed. So the one brother's hitting it from behind, but also on the side is, you know, you get it. But then the other brother is just like kissing her knees. And it's like, bro, what are you doing down there? Because at that point, you're just down there for smells. And that ain't great.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just smooching her knees. I hated it. I hated it too. We get this idea,
but it makes. I hated it too, but it makes sense when you realize that they're like angel star children, because they have no sense of sex or proper sex. They have no sense of like alcohol. They've never had alcohol before. That's why they're screaming when they do shots of bourbon, because they've never had it before. It's a terror. It's
poison. They just drank poison.
Right. They're trying to put on a brave face while they're on Earth, but everything they encounter is, you know, a new assaulting experience to them. So like, it makes sense within their character study. I wanted to mention, because we keep bringing up Fallout a lot. One of the Tank Top twins is played by Moises Arias, and he's on the Fallout show. So I just wanted.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
He plays like kind of the wormy, cowardly little brother on that show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
I just wanted to point that out since we keep bringing it up. He is on that show, and he's pretty good. Like he's not like
he is
a bad character.
He's good in this too.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's fine in this. I mean, he's honestly one of the better characters. Stephen Dorff is frankly delivering a performance this movie doesn't deserve, I will say. Which I respect and I appreciate about him. He did not phone this in. He was fucking going for it, which I really, really like.
I was shocked, because in that early scene where he is working on his computer and, you know, the prostitute is trying to get him to come to bed, he's also on the screen advertising Divinity, you know, to the room. But when like she tries to like entice him in the bed, that weird little like nervous like chuckle he has, where he's just like, like I was like, it's been so long since we've seen like Stephen Dorff like kind of deliver a performance like that. It just the weird awkwardness made me think of Cecil B. Demented, because he's weird in that film as well.
Unflattering, like he's not afraid, because like Stephen Dorff, if you're not picturing him, I mean, Google him, you know exactly who he is. He's a very good looking guy. You know what I mean? Like he's a very traditional, but I love that he's not afraid to kind of make himself look a little bit like unflattering and weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, he does a great job in this movie, to be honest with you. I mean, he was the only one that made me like the movie. Also, like I said, I like the one brother. The other brother was a little too much of a Mary Sue. He's a little too much of a baby face for me.
Yeah.
But in any case, you know who Stephen Dorff is, like a slightly more interesting Christian Slater. I just realized that.
You know, I like it's kind of a neck and neck
look
thing.
A little bit alike. Yeah. But I think a Christian Slater is like wouldn't take risks like Steven Dorff does.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think you just have to look for those roles, because I feel like when Christian Slater did Mr. Robot, that was a little bit of a risk for him.
I didn't see it. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
So you're probably right. There's probably roles out there that I can see. I just think a Christian Slater is like maybe having too much of an ego, but maybe that's just the demonized Christian Slater that I'm imagining.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, let's Christian Slater chat. We like to hit every episode. We like to hit a quick Christian Slater chat corner.
Just to check in.
Just to check in, see how he's doing, see how we're doing, in our regards to our feelings around Christian Slater. Anyway, Nikita has a dream of like the twins being like these weird monsters and shit. I don't know. Bella sends her ballerinas out to find Nikita or Divinity or both or neither. Actually, I don't fucking know, but she sends them out to find something. In the morning, Nikita ends up finding Jackson and they have a little chat, and his forehead's starting to get a little wonked up. Right. Mm-hmm. He's starting to get this little Cro-Magnon man, like HGH forehead for a second. And you're not really obviously it has something to do with the Divinity. He explains, like, you got to get me the fuck out of here. I'm a little fucked up. And she's getting a little sketched out because he's getting a little aggressive. She doesn't know whether to set him loose or what. She tries to untie him, but then he's like spazzing out and she like boots him over and he's still half tied up. He's threatening her. She runs away, but she's intercepted by what she now calls the brothers, who telepathically communicate why they are doing, whatever the fuck it is that they're doing. Yeah, I doubt they explained to her exactly why they were in a double team with their own brothers, but they did explain everything else to her real quickly about Jackson and what he's doing and what he's producing and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Jackson does escape.
You took advantage of us. You got us drunk. That's That's on you.
Yeah. That's on you. We definitely have never done this before.
We're not into smelling each other's balls.
Yeah, you are, guys. So this is a weird, and you might have, I forgot to look this up beforehand, but there's a character in here that they call, his name's Rip.
Yes.
And he's Jackson's brother.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen this fucking guy on social media, but I do not know who he is.
Yep.
Is he a bodybuilder? Is he a social media personality? He's fucking a giant roided out maniac.
Yeah, he's a lot of things.
He looks like Fabio a little bit.
Yeah.
He reminds you of Fabio, but even bigger, humongous.
Yeah, he is definitely like...
He looks like a fucking He-Man action figure come to life.
Yeah, and that's what he has done like his entire life. He is a bodybuilder, personal trainer who has tried to break into acting and fame like for the entirety of his life. He's also in a film I watched, and it's okay. It's kind of good. It's not very good, but it's called
It's okay. It's kind of good. It's not very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where you stand on this.
It's whatever. Watch it if you're high. But it's called the Manson Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre, and it's about pro wrestlers fighting a zombie horde. It's all right.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so this guy has done any and everything to try to make it in the world of film. Like, just be famous. He was an American Gladiator. He was...
Oh, that's his shtick. He looks like an American Gladiator.
Yeah. He was on the epic rap battles at History. Like, he just, like, tries to inject himself. And, like, obviously he gets work from time to time because he is just this giant, roided out monster. But, like, he's not a good actor. So...
No, he's not. And he has this very, and I'm not even trying to say this in like an artificial way. He has this very, well, no pun intended, artificial. Like, he has this very done up fake plastic face, plastic surgery. Like, he's got this very specific look to him that looks like he's had a lot of work done.
Mm-hmm.
He's, he's not. This is not how a human looks naturally. Let's put it this way, right? And no shade, do your thing, man. But it's abundantly clear when you see him.
Yeah.
But so you're not going to cast him in a regular guy role.
No.
You know, despite his size.
No. Like he's never going to get, because he's gone too far to the extreme. So he's never going to get the Chris Hemsworth roles. And also,
no,
I think he's like 50. So because he's been at it for so long.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I get a feeling he's much older than he looks, because I think, again, he doesn't look. Again, this is not how humans look.
Right.
I just say, hey, that's the reality of the situation.
But if you need somebody to play a god, then you have him.
Yeah, like a really or if you need somebody to play something that would equate to a real life He-Man action figure come to life in the flesh, yeah, that's what you got.
Yep.
You know, so his name is Rip, which is also a great name for him. And I love when his little like divinity servant, like he seems to live or work or is residing in some capacity at this like weird futuristic divinity spa. Because you get the idea, they have a ton of money, right? Between him and his brother, and you know their dad's discoveries and all this stuff, they got a lot of money to burn. And he just spends his days hanging out at this weird spa, just kind of like tripping balls, eating divinity, just taking drops of divinity. They call him Master Rip, which is great nickname.
That's also an American Gladiator name.
Master Rip, yeah, for sure. He's just like doing divinity. He's got a pistol for some reason. We don't really see why. His name is, his like little servant's name is, I think, Tavis. Mm-hmm. And he's weirding me out big time. And then like part of his like thing he does at his little spa is he just like lays in a little shallow pool and has like another muscly dude pour water on him.
Yeah.
And I just made me feel like he was definitely like, this was some sort of like simulation. Like he'd prefer to have been being pissed on. You know what I mean? Like in a perfect world, he would just be being pissed on. I don't know. It's the whole vibe of this place is strange.
I mean, it's just all hedonism, and like, you know, he's a big muscle bound monster, so he has another muscle bound monster as his slave to feel like an alpha. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, pour this milk on me as I lay in this shallow pool. And then he's got this fucking finger licking creep that he has a shock collar on, and like,
oh yeah, I forgot the shock collar.
Yeah, so like it's implied that he does like weird stuff to Tavis, but you don't know exactly what. But like Tavis is also like super into it. Like he's into being punished.
Yeah.
And it's just like, ugh.
It feels like he bangs Tavis. They've got a strange relationship.
I don't even think he bangs Tavis. I think he just like makes Tavis like jack him off as he stands in the Superman pose. Like he just has his hands on his hips and he just like, Tavis, come milk me.
That's a t-shirt. Tavis, come milk me. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't think he's even going to that level of effort. Yeah, he's just so meanwhile, Jackson is back and he's talking about how hungry he is because all the divinity's making him hungry. So he's just like pigging out on all the food that they had left there in their like pre-sex
feast.
Yeah, feast, I guess. And then he just passes out because he eats too much, maybe? I don't know. But they just find him and hook him back up. I'm like, why did that happen?
Because it's awesome.
Yeah, he just like, oh, I'm so hungry. Num num yum yum yum. Pass out. Damn it, he got out. Put him back in his chair.
I mean, my assumption is like, because he mentions when he's being hooked up to the divinity concentrate in the beginning that. Mm-hmm. You know, like you can't put that much divinity into a person without food or water. So I assume it requires like a massive caloric intake and a massive water intake to process because their bodies change immediately to like the best body. So like, you know, like imagine all the cats.
So to build all that muscle, it's going to take a huge Yeah, so he's just nomming down, and then he passes out.
Yeah, which again, this goes back to your point about Steven Dorff willing to be vulnerable in a role, which is fun.
Love it.
And then also, I just have the note: "Fat dog ate too much."
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, I just saw him there, laying there, all covered in food, passed out, and I was like, "Been there, bro."
Yeah, she's like,
been there.
Fat dog got in a kibble bag. Shouldn't have gotten in there. Fat dog lay down, go for a nap.
Yeah, it's time for a nap, fat dog. But this is where we get, apparently the secret to divinity is fetal tissue. Mm-hmm. So, hey guys, they're doing something here. And now all of a sudden, obviously I'm hypersensitive to this because we've been doing the youth group is forever on the Patreon. So I'm starting to think like, wait, is this going to go into this like weird right-wing, anti-abortion, anti-choice thing? And it like kind of does a little bit, but not really.
It touches not so much the whole Christian sect of that, but it actually touches more the conspiracy wing of draining children of their adrenochrome to live forever. That's a big conspiracy that like, Hillary Clinton is drinking adrenochrome from the children. She's going to live forever because she's a child vampire.
It makes the frogs gay. The whole thing makes the frogs gay. So that's a better simile there, because it feels like that. And I don't want to jump too far ahead and spoil the fabulous ending, but you need fetal tissue to I do like, that I like jargon, sci-fi jargon. I just like when it's a sci-fi movie and the writers take a little bit of extra time just to inject some jargon to make it seem like whatever crazy nonsense they're doing actually sounds somewhat feasible, right?
Sure.
We say John Carpenter does a great job of this. Sometimes he does it in his very, very early films, but I've always appreciated this about 50s sci-fi, whatever, where it's just like, let's take 5 minutes to explain, just say science words, and so it seems feasible. They don't do that in this, and they do it, but they do it to such just a funny level. They're like, well, it needs to be that because of the science. It's like it won't extract it fully if it's not from a fetus,
right?
And that's just about as deep as they go. And I'm like, just say science words at me, confuse me just enough for me to go, oh, you did your research, and now you know more than me, so this is feasible. Nope.
Yeah.
They put no effort into that.
Yeah.
It's fetal tissue.
Right. They just had to find a science word for like when a fetus is in that kind of 3 to 6 month stage of like, find a science word from that time of, that natal period, and then throw that in there, and I'll go,
say those words in a combination. That's all you need to do to check the box. They don't even do it.
Nope.
They do a very bad job, and they make poor Scott Bakula look like he doesn't know science. And how dare you for that? Because I know Scott Bakula knows science. He time travels.
His name is Quantum Leap.
His fucking name is Quantum Leap. You don't think he knows how to do science? So the brothers are all about, again, stopping him from corrupting the world with divinity, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, a bunch of people, divinity junkies, assumedly, because they're all big jack meatheads and swimsuit models, they all show up to Jackson's house for his birthday, surprise birthday. And literally not one person is fully clothed. Again, it's this like hedonistic environment. But I love that it's not like, the swimsuit model and then like, hey, look, it's Brad Pitt in Fight Club. You know what I mean? It's not like a Kenyan marathon runner. It's just American Gladiators.
Yeah.
Showing up. That's everyone's peak physical condition is nitro from the American Gladiators.
Exactly.
It's a very specific type.
It's so funny because like all of the men turn into American Gladiators, like you're saying, but all of the women turn into Bella Thorne. Really, I mean, they all just turn into like B cup Instagram models who are like very, like all under 120 pounds. Like there's no muscle mommies. And I don't know how well that plays in today's, like that. This movie was made in 2023. Muscle mommies were catching on. You should have had the foresight.
Yeah. You should have. You guys fucked up. And put some butts out there. Let's get some. It's 2024. Yeah. This was made in 2023, but get some butts out there. This has been a constant, guys. If you're new to the podcast and you're just catching on, you're just trying to figure out what our bugaboos are. When you don't have a butt in the entire movie, that's going to be a big detractor for us. And when I say a butt, I mean a real ass butt,
just a dumper,
not a bunch of, just a dumper, exactly. So the party is happening, and no one's really worried about where Jackson is. He's still tied up somewhere in the house, but the party is happening. The one brother has this weird moment with Nikita where they, I don't know, fall in love or something. And that's when they have this discussion where they're like, I forget which, I don't remember the brothers' names or anything like that. But one of them says in this conversation with Nikita, hey, are you, I forget, natural? I forget how you said it. And she's like, no, I haven't taken it. And they say here, it's either you live forever or you give life. So this is also like further reinforcement where I do think the idea is like, it's, do you take the, again, this feels like a Darren Aronofsky thing, but it's like a little bit of a red pill, blue pill.
Right, yeah.
Not in the Matrix sense. The movie's great, but how it's become memeified into all these like edgelord douchebags on the internet where they're like, okay, do you want to live your perfect life and live in, get all your wildest dreams come true? Or do you want to be like selfless and provide for a new life on this planet kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I say, I think divinity makes you sterile. So she's pure. She uses the word, I'm pure. So Jackson, his forehead is, by the way, fucking whacked out at this point. And he's arguing with his dead dad, I guess, about divinity. He's going on a whole fucking spirit journey.
He has at this point reached jacked elephant man status.
That's exactly what wait till we get that point in my notes. He is 100%. Yeah. Elephant Man meets the Incredible Hulk. And I couldn't remember. I meant to look this up. What was the I think it was a New Image comic that was like kind of a jokey take on like Spawn, where he had like the like teethy looking things that like popped off over his head. Oh, I'm gonna think of it. I think it was a New Image comic. It reminded me so much of him because he was like had his head down. All you saw was just the big lumpy elephant man thing. Anyway, the other brother is out with all the hunks, and he's looking pretty dejected. We're getting flashbacks. Like apparently Jackson watched his dad just like keel over and die while he was not being a good dad and was working on his serum or whatever. So Jackson felt like he needed to pick up that mantle, but it also made it seem like Jackson was pissed that his dad had the nerve to die. Like I get that he, was showing why he's so driven, but he was like mad. So Rip is like racing to the party because, and I forget why, but he somehow knows something is wrong with his brother or whatever.
Because he keeps trying to call him.
Oh, that's right. He keeps trying to call him. He's not picking up. So he's worried something's wrong. And he shows up like just kind of as the party's wrapping up, and there's people just kind of last people are stumbling out drunk. Jackson is just a giant, meaty muscle tick at this point. He just looks like he's about to pop. His head's all lumpy, and Rip finds him, and the other brother like hides and is like watching. And the dialogue between Rip and Jackson in this instance feels like it is straight out of a Glenn Danzig script.
Yes.
Like it is fucking wildly bad. And it's also being delivered by an absolute dipshit too. So it's that I'm sure doesn't.
these scenes, and you know what? Like, we're being hard on Rip, but also Nikita is also bad at acting too.
She's bad too. She's bad. You're right.
So they are two sides of the lunk coin of just not knowing how to act. And so when they are delivering these, these emotive, pieces of dialogue, and, Rip is trying to connect with his brother who is dying and exploding from muscle. Like, it's just like painful. It's like, ugh, oh my God. Like, I understand why you hired these people because they fit the look, but also why did you hire these people, or why not just redub them? Like, ADR this guy.
Yeah. It would be great. Honestly, it would feel more at home in the movie too. Because this, in a way, feels like if actually that would have been a great take if they would just been like, let's make this feel like a 70s Italian flick and let's just ADR everything.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been actually awesome. Yeah. So like the other brother walks in because he doesn't know what's happening. The quote unquote good brother walks in, and Rip turns around and shoots him. And the brothers escape. One of them's wounded. My God, this is one of the worst lines in the movie. Jackson is like, go get him, to Rip, like, go chase after him. And Rip goes, yes, brother, for our father, and runs away. And as he's running away, Jackson goes, fuck our father. And first of all, why? Second of all, that's a terrible line.
Yeah.
And you know what? Kudos to Stephen Dorff for delivering that piece of shit dialogue.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's that, Darren Aronofsky influenced, I'm doing something that's related to the Bible, but not really. So, don't try to read too much into it, but there's definitely Bible influence here. And when he says fuck our father, he is definitely turning down God. It's what it is. It's just,
he's blaspheming.
Yeah.
And what is scarier and more edgy than blaspheming? This movie at this point was really getting exhausting to me. And I'll be honest with you, there was a moment earlier on where I'm like, this is fun. Just like we're going on a little journey. I don't know what the fuck's happening. This is chaos. I like the unexpectedness. And then this is the point where I'm like, Christ, how many minutes are left? I'm done at this point. Because Rip has the worst fight scene in history with the brothers. They end up pounding his face like flat. But the fight scene is impossibly bad.
Yeah.
They are taking swings at him, and then they ultimately just like knock him down and then just like pound his face. The hit detection in this one, guys, if this was a video game, would be fucking painful. Like, it doesn't look remotely real. Any of the violence, the movements are super unnatural. They have to really edit it together to make it probably look even watchable. I mean, it's honestly one of the worst. Short, blessed be that it was short. This is one of the worst fight scenes I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah. It's also fucking dark. Like, it's so dark to even see what's trying to happen, because you have this black and white filter going on. It's not lit properly, and it also has a fake grain filter over it. So it's just like,
yeah, they do that a lot
mess
throughout I mean, from like some of the first few scenes, there are scenes where it's like from a distance and the lighting's kind of interesting, that it's like, oh, that kind of looks a little bit cool. But yeah, in this instance, it's looking real bad. They're shooting this like kind of quote unquote set piece that they have is like the front of a really tacky, I'm sure some mansion in the valley somewhere with this big steps coming down the front of it. And they don't use anything. They don't do any, anti-stunts. I mean, anybody could have done this. The choreography is terrible. The execution's terrible. It's just, it's bad. Somebody, part of me is like, wow, kudos to the editor for actually putting something together that's not completely embarrassing, but it is embarrassing. But I think he did the best he could. The brothers do find Nikita, and like one of them yells at her to just go, like, get out of here, go. The not dying one yells at her to go. The dying one dies as I guess the dying one does. And he does this, like, he dies in his brother's arms, and his soul, I guess, comes out as like smoke into his brother's mouth. And I wrote their soul snowballing. And I hated it because they have a history. Let's be frank. They have a history.
Yeah, they have a history. But you ain't ever watched a brother of Shang Tsung, his other brother?
Yeah, he does. I mean, he does. But it seems like involuntary, maybe in a way. I don't fucking care. She finds this like tape room where Jackson just, I guess, has all his commercials running. I don't know. Or not even commercials, like self-shot therapy sessions. I don't know, where he's just talking about why he finished his dad's project and created Divinity, and basically explains that Divinity has to be harvested by fetuses because it doesn't work good otherwise. He had a bunch of women that he impregnates and then uses their fertilized eggs to make Divinity. So basically he has like a bunch of, like, you're seeing fetuses in jars in the office there that he's shooting in that are still alive. But then also we see a whole nother thing later, but I'm like, okay, which is it? We'll talk about it in a second. But Hulk Jackson, which is not played by Steven Dorff right now. It's now some sort of slightly like Marius Pujanowski looking, like he's shorter, but enormous. Like he looks like a little mini fridge. He's as short. He's as tall as he is wide. He's just this super jacked little short guy, but they have all this makeup to give him the Elephant Man face. And he's supposed to be, Jackson, fully hulked out at this point. He flexes, busts out the ropes, finds his dead brother Rip, and is kind of pissed, but not really that much. I don't know. The surviving twin chases him out into the desert in time for a kung fu battle. Now, again, I am so out on this because I know little muscle replacement Steven Dorff, like the new Jackson here. He's not going to do any stunts. He's a little muscle bound guy. He's not doing anything cool. So I'm like, I'm out at this point. I'm counting the minutes till this movie's over. But then, unexpectedly, very unexpectedly for me, we get an entire claymation superhero battle between Jackson, hulked out Jackson, and the remaining Tank Top brother. And it is full on Dragon Ball Z meets Celebrity Deathmatch. And it's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie.
It's not the worst thing. And this is actually this director's kind of hallmark, is using mixed media and stop motion. He's kind of done it before. He also produced so that movie he wrote called Fuck You. Okay. He did that in conjunction with Flying Lotus. Then he also produced Kuso, which was the Flying Lotus directed film, which also is a lot of mixed media in that film.
Yes, tons. Yeah.
So it just kind of stands up that Eddie Alcazar, which God, that sounds like a magic phrase, Alcazar.
Yeah, really.
But he just loves doing mixed media stuff. Hey, it works sort of in this. I don't hate it. It's fun.
It's completely. It works in the sense that there's so many other dissonant things that this doesn't seem any more dissonant than any of the other things that happened. If there wasn't all that other crazy dissonant stuff, this would seem so out of place.
Oh yeah,
and it does seem so out of place. But you're like, how many other things leading up to this was out of place?
Yeah.
So it's like the room's already a mess. You throw one more banana peel on the floor, it doesn't really fucking matter, you know?
It's a perfect way to put it. But yeah, this crazy anime claymation fight feels in line with all the goofy ass commercials we saw earlier. Because all those goofy ass commercials are just lighthearted, extremely stylized, pushed to the limit nonsense. So they feel in line together. It's the super serious, like, my father never paid attention to me, and now I take my revenge through science, you know, and then the fucking, we're two angels from heaven, and we've come to fucking punish you, and you're going to be punished for your crimes against humanity. Like, ugh, yuck, shut up, Darren Aronofsky. That's all I can think. I know Alcazar is his own person, but it just reads so much Aronofsky to me that I'm just I blame him.
I didn't even know the connection. And I was thinking that throughout. Yeah, the biblical cryptic stuff, the dialogue is very, you know, biblical and cryptic in nature. Like I said, this little fight is like, it's fine. In comparison, up to this point, I was so bored and I was just so ready for this movie to be done that all of a sudden I was like, oh, fun. Like I was like, oh, wait, I want to see what happens in this a little bit. You know what
we're
I
doing
mean?
Fun again?
So
Hooray.
I was, yeah. All right, cool. Let's fucking have a little. I mean, it reminded me, honestly, the way they move too. It just is very, it just feels like Celebrity Deathmatch. Yeah. So the brothers, like, they're the one brother, the surviving brother, he climbs on top of this like rock, and then he gets, I guess, struck by lightning, which gives him Super Saiyan powers. But he's still no mind for fucking Super Chunk Jackson, who just pounds him, and the two just pounds him flat. But then like the two souls, I guess, aka ghosts of the twins, leave the body because, as you recall, he sucked one of them in.
Right.
So he's got, assumedly, his own plus his brother's in there. And when he gets pounded flat, they both come out. They leave his body, and they kind of lure Jackson to to the edge of the cliff where like a rock breaks loose and he falls. And when he lands, he just guts explode everywhere. Like it's hard to describe because this is a little claymation set piece, but you would assume this is the equivalent of maybe a 2 to 3 story fall. Like enough where you're like, you're probably going to break your leg.
Right.
But you're not going to explode into guts.
Well,
you know?
Well, like you said, he is basically a bloated tick at this point. So maybe he did just water balloon into the rocks.
Maybe he was pushing like maximum, the maximum elasticity of his skin, perhaps. I don't know. But then like Jackson's mouth, he's now exploded right into guts. Guts are everywhere, intestines flying out and shit. But his mouth is still like talking for a second after he goes squish, and he's like, "I feel so alive." Like,
again,
God.
it's just more silliness. I like that because it's just silly, dumb horror movie stuff. Because also, even though while that's happening, his like intestines are still writhing around because he's all juiced up on immortality juice. His body is trying its best not to die, but it has exploded into a million pieces. It's fucking
the
great.
Fetus juice is still ripping.
Yeah,
it is. It's very stupid fun. Yeah, but it's just like, how the fuck is this where we ended up? Where like a few minutes ago we were talking about like childhood trauma and all this stuff. It's just It's just all over the place. Meanwhile, Nikita, I guess, watched this whole thing. So then there's a supernova. I guess. I don't know, but she's definitely preggers. We definitely know that.
Yes.
And the space ballerinas from Bella Thorne's. I know this it didn't look like this at all, but for some reason, the place where Bella Thorne, her like hangout, where she was like briefing all the space ballerinas, really felt like Zordon's lair from the Power Rangers to me. Like Alpha should have been there going like, "Ay, ay, ay." So the space ballerinas materialize and take Nikita back to their weird void, and the baby's coming already. Like, the entire gestation period has happened, and she is about to give birth, literally within the same 24 hours that she was impregnated, I guess. And Bella Thorne is like helping to deliver the baby, kinda, but mostly she's just screaming stuff. And she gives birth to this little, guys, I'm gonna say it's a sapling, like a little sapling tree, but that has dicks for roots.
Yep. Yep. That's accurate.
And then I wrote, thanks, I hated it.
Yeah.
That's the end of my notes.
And then that's the end of the movie. Thanks, I hated it.
And this is what I've said, is like, this was only slightly less bizarre than when Mark Henry knocked up Mae Young and she gave birth to just a fully grown man's human hand on Raw in 1998 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
This was only slightly less bizarre than that.
Slightly. But like, yeah, this whole birthing scene, like I said before, they're doing the midsummer. Like, all the women are gathered around and they're mimicking and
yes, they are absolutely ripping off Midsummer.
Yeah, like they're
screaming with her,
mm-hmm.
and rhythmically screaming with her.
Yeah, so they're doing that, but they're also doing it in, you know, the 60s, 70s weird kind of like bodysuit get up. But they're still portraying that retro futurism, and then, like you said, it's a sapling with dick roots, and it's kind of
what's the sapling with dick roots? I mean, I can only speculate.
Well, okay, so you go back to the dream that she originally had of the twins after banging them, and they had the fucking squid faces that are like, that's like. I think it's, again, because they don't say alien or angel. They don't say it either way. But I guess you're probably supposed to take angel. And it's like that. It's the be not afraid. You know, this is my final form. You know, and then that's what she gives birth to.
It's the 90 eyes and the 30 sets of wings and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Fine. But why are the dicks fully grown adult dicks that are wriggling around like snakes? I'm just saying.
Well, no, because there's stunted squid tentacles, which makes them dicks. That makes them little dicks, but they'll eventually spread out to be the large tentacles like you saw on the angel's face.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
fine.
That's how they grow.
I honestly did not draw the comparison between the squid thing, because I forgot that the cutaway when you saw their face in the dream was of squids. I was thinking that they were just straight up dicks, and this was some sort of fertility thing. Okay,
it can be that too. It can be a lot of things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The movie's over.
It doesn't have to. It's fine. It's fine for me not to understand something. In fact, I would prefer. It is weird that they didn't explain it more on the button like they did with pretty much everything else. But this, even by those standards, is especially by those standards, is wildly vague. And here's one thing that's still confusing to me. It's pretty simple to animate. Not simple, but they could have animated. If they wanted them to be squid tentacles, they'd have made them look more like squid tentacles with like little suckers on them and stuff. It's not hard to communicate squid tentacles.
Sure.
Those look like little hot dogs.
I know. They're little stubs. They're little stubs that have to grow. It's a sapling. They're going to go out to the desert and plant it. And then the squid tentacles are going to grow longer, and they're going to be much more. And then the tree's also going to grow, and then they're going to bring back Eden or what the fuck ever. It doesn't matter. The movie's over.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The movie's over. You're right. Yeah. And that's how I felt. I was just ready to shut it off. Like, I shut it off the second the credits hit. I not even like X out of the app. I turned the TV off. I just hit power off. Boop. And I just walked up to bed. Boop. And I was like, I'm washing my fucking hands of that ending. like I said, I didn't hate the movie. I've watched so many worse movies this year already.
Sure.
There were parts that I thought were interesting. I appreciate the big swings that they took. The ending was stupid. You can't be stupid and boring. And there was a lot of this movie that was boring, and there's a lot of this movie that was stupid. Preferably not boring at all. But if you're going to be boring, just be boring and I'll tune out. Like, you know what I mean? Or where we just won't watch the movie at all or talk about it.
Right.
This had like a unique combination of one part stupid, one part boring, and then like 2 parts fine.
Yeah.
So it's like, am I mad? No, but
it's a film that keeps tricking you to watch it because it has like, it'll show you like interesting visuals and you're like, oh, what's going on here? And then it's like, oh, this is boring and stupid. Damn it. Got me again.
That's a great description of how it made me feel. Is like, if it was just boring, I would have just stopped watching it.
Right.
But it tricked you into paying attention for small periods of time. And then those small periods of time were immediately followed up by something that was A, stupid, or B, boring, or C, both.
Yeah. It's like, oh, here's a weird shot caller slave guy. That's kind of interesting.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Oh, and now we're back to just nothing happens. Nothing's happening. Okay. But he's being weird, but now also nothing's happening to the story. Fuck.
Yeah. And now, like, super boring. Fuck. Now it's going to be boring for a while. Man, this is really boring. Oh, wait. Weird Dragon Ball Z meets Celebrity Deathmatch? Fucking Battle Royale? Blood? Fucking guts explode? Sick. All right. That's kind of cool. Followed by straight up just stupid.
Yeah.
Just the dumbest, most vague ending ever. So that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is it. That is Divinity from 20 and 23. Definitely one that, if it wouldn't have popped up on the Shudder, featured movies, probably would have never taken a closer look at it. If it wasn't on the Shudder front page, or if it didn't have Stephen Dorff in it, there's no way in hell I would have gave this movie another look. But yeah, is it the worst thing in the world? Am I mad that I spent my time watching it? Not really.
No,
not really.
No.
As glowing of a review as that is.
I have a feeling like Stephen Dorff got tricked by Steven Soderbergh's name being attached. Like,
that sounds realistic.
Yeah. There is just a natural, like, Steven kind of loyalty. So you just hear like, oh yeah. Yeah. You hear like another Steven.
Another Steven.
Mm-hmm. You go, okay. I might be on board. So yeah.
Sends up the Steve signal.
Yep.
And everyone comes running.
Yep.
It's interesting because in the world of Brian's, it's almost like Civil War because you got the I's and the Y's.
Yeah.
And the I's are loyal to the I's, the Y's are loyal to the Y's, and never shall the twain meet. So
yeah, that's real Scottish behavior.
you have to have a straight up bloody duel of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I'll meet somebody and work function or whatever. Hey, what's your name? Oh, Brian. Oh, me too. It's easy to remember. And then I go, iron a Y. And I kind of say it in a joking way. But if he says why, I fucking cold cock him. I just uppercut him.
Get the first shot in. Why not? He knows the rules.
And he's waiting. He should know.
Yeah.
If he doesn't know, shame on him. I just learned him something.
Yeah.
Steve, if you had to give this movie a ranking, let's say a 1 out of 10, what would you give it?
If I had to give it a 1 out of 10, man, I don't know. Because here's the thing about this. As dumb as it is also original. It's hard to deny that it has an original look to it. Not original. Because
I was gonna say I wouldn't say original, but
it has a unique. It has a unique look to it. Although I actually do have 2 movies I want to talk about that I feel like this kind of almost maybe stole its look from, but
I think I have a few Instagram accounts I follow that it's completely stole the aesthetic from too.
But like so it has a unique standout look to it. It has kind of it takes chances with the character goofiness and the claymation, and it tries to do something. So it is much more of like an original IP You know, it's a unmade thing. We're not like in the world of remakes and shit like that. So I kind of want to give it like almost a 6. Even
that's wild, Steve. That's a wild score.
But it's like there's so much other stuff that just goes underneath that, you know, like it's dumb.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I
bad.
understand what you're saying. I feel like you're starting from a higher base level than me, because I'm sitting here going, this is a 3, and then I'm saying, do I give it a for the quick claymation sequence, do I give it a 3.5? But then do I subtract that 0.5 back because Darren Aronofsky's involved?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm landing this movie. I will
he's not even involved in this film, but it's just
he's involved.
He's
100% involved
in the past. He's been involved in the past.
Yeah, he is. His influences are abound.
Yeah, they're so apparent.
I'm giving it a 3 because I'm doing that exact thing.
Sure.
I give it a 3, but I added a half because of that the claymation, and then I subtract a half for Darren Aronofsky being even tangentially involved. So this is a 3 for me. There's no way this is an above average film.
Okay.
Are you comparing this to Fish Piss? Like, how do you give this a 6?
Yeah, like Fish Piss is like a 2. So like
Fish Piss is not a 2, Steve. Fish Piss is a 0.5. Fish Piss is barely a movie. That's like if you were rating a candy bar and 0 is it's a literal dog turd. It's not even a candy bar. Like that's 0, right? And then like 0.5 is a dog turd with peanuts and chocolate. Like that's what Fish Piss is. It's barely a movie. It's a movie, but it's fucking barely a movie.
Okay, yeah, but like Fish Piss is barely a movie, but it has 2 to 3 things that I kind of like. The lock-in.
Oh my God. I don't know how we got to talk about Fish Piss, but okay.
The lock-in.
What is it?
The lock-in is a 1. There's nothing I like about that. There's not a single thing I like about the lock-in.
Oh, the lock-in. I thought you said the walk-in. I thought you were listing things you like about Fish Piss, and you said the walk-in. I was like, wait. Yeah.
But like the lock-in has nothing redeemable about it. So that's a 1. So Fish Piss gets a 2. It has to get a 2 in comparison.
No. They are both. The lock-in is not even a movie. I don't know. Honestly, the lock-in and Fish Piss for me are neck and neck. I would say maybe the lock-in has more of a script than Fish Piss, I think.
Yeah.
But it's the people were more insufferable. And at least Fish Piss has like a guy with a mask coming out of the water. So they're both 0.5s in my estimation. Fish Piss and the lock-in are on the same level as me.
Fish Piss
and they're both 0.5s.
Fish Piss has a monster blowing its load, and that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's not hilarious, but it's like it's at least something we could talk about. The lock-in at least has like the most annoying kid in the world, and you could just make fun of how bad he is, and like the mom and how like she loves being on camera. So they're terrible. They're 0.5s. They're not 1s and 2s. Even if you gave them both a 1, how's this a 6?
Because I just find so many boring, like uninventive films out there like that.
Okay, you're giving it bonus points for. I can appreciate the bold swing.
Yeah,
I can appreciate the bold swing.
It attempts. It attempts a lot. It has a look to it, but but by its own desire to satisfy parts of its audience, it makes itself dumber. Like if this was just like a full-on experimental nightmare like Holy Motors, then maybe I'd start considering like an 8, maybe. But like it would have to it would have to give up all its dumb bits.
See, I think about the 10 scale as 5's in the middle. 5 is I'm kind of neutral. I wouldn't say it's above average. 5 is average.
Yeah.
Right? And this is a below average movie for me. There's no way I could give it above a 4 because it's below average. If I go and randomly scroll through Shudder,
yeah,
all those movies and just play Shudder roulette. This is going to be below average.
You know, it's below average on Shudder. I'll give you that. But it's not below average on Tubi.
No, but that's not fair, because
it's
Tubi
completely fair.
It's completely no, it's not. Tubi can't be the benchmark. Tubi can't be the benchmark.
Tubi is the benchmark because Tubi has everything. Tubi,
it doesn't have everything. It skews towards worse. It skews towards worse.
But it still
it has all of the dinosaur hotels.
Yes,
Steve.
I know.
It has all
Dinosaur
of the dinosaur
Hotel
hotels.
is a 3. Dinosaur Hotel is a 3. That's what I think is a 3. The acting is so fucking terrible, and they are so fucking lazy about what they do. Those films are cranked out in 30 days. Fuck those movies.
Yeah. Yeah, Dinosaur Hotel is like a 1.5, a 2. Yeah, but I mean, well below average. That's man.
But that's
we got to do some calibrations.
That's why I say
here's what we need. We need a movie that's our calibration movie. That is a 5.
Sure. We'll figure that one out. But like, that's why I put Dinosaur Hotel as a 3, because it, even as cynical and terrible as it is made, it's still better made than Fish Piss. So like, the Lock-In is all cynical and it's poorly made. Fish Piss is goofing off and you got a couple bits, but it's still terrible. And then Dinosaur Hotel is competent-ish, but it's still super terrible, and it's like worse than, you know, any regular person would put out proudly.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I mean, honestly, if you would have gave this a 5, I would have been fine. Something about making this above average is what's sticking in my craw.
Yeah,
anyway,
I get that,
guys.
I get that, but I feel like if you just understood like what I thought was an average film, you would get
I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah,
I think we need a calibration movie. I think we need an agreed upon calibration movie. Not like what is your 5 and what's my 5. I think we need an agreed upon calibration movie.
This is also why I don't give out 1 through 10s, because I will weight bad films like higher if they do something interesting. There are, there's interesting things in this film that are different from just watching your regular old red box Bruce Willis action film.
Yeah, I suppose so. All right. Well, guys, that was Divinity from 20 and 23. If you listen to Steve, boy, you get more than your money's worth. If you listen to me, don't waste your fucking time. Listen, I say watch it. Fine. It's an experience. It's an experience. Improve your media literacy, whether it's in the right direction or not. All right, guys, next week, don't forget our Occult Horror Showdown for September. We are deep in the spooky season once September starts. I don't give a fuck what you say. We're getting spooky ooky. We're talking about occult horror. Again, our patrons over on the Patreon, they have collectively selected House of the Devil. That was Ron's suggestion. We've got my pick, which is A Dark Song from 2016, and then Steve's going to be talking about Starry Eyes from 2014. So we've got all some, into the 2000s and the 20 teens here, guys, which is a bit of a rarity, but that will be a lot of fun. So if you got time this week and you want to check out those movies, or maybe you want to rewatch one of them, or maybe you want to watch the one you haven't watched for the first time to prepare for the discussion, please do so. It should be real fun. Steve, anything else we need to talk about before we wrap this son of a bitch up?
Yeah, we're deep, but I got 2 things I wanted to bring up. One, this film, because it was shot in black and white and has this retro futurist look, it reminded me of these films I saw way back in the day. And they're super hard to find, but they're on YouTube. Somebody has graciously re-uploaded them. They are films by he's like a director, artist. He's in a band, a lot of things. But the guy's name is Corey Maccabee, and he made a film in 2001 called The American Astronaut. And then he made kind of a follow-up, which is like a web series called Stingray Sam. And they're both these kind of retro futurist comedy musicals. Like, it's not full musical, but they have musical bits. And they are just like, what if the Wild West was on the moon type shit. And
oh, cool.
They're really great. And just the look of them will make you think of this movie that we're talking about. And I just think, like, go check those out. Like, they're not horror, but they are just really good and fun kind of films and like web series to see. There's some,
what's his name? Corey Maccabee, you said?
Yeah, Corey Maccabee. He does some other stuff. But yeah, check out The American Astronaut and Stingray Sam. They're on YouTube.
Do it up, guys.
The last point about this film, though. Did you notice that they just ripped off the OCP fucking logo from RoboCop?
Oh, yeah, like during the title sequence.
Yeah, during the title sequence, and then it's also on like all of their like products and stuff. Like, it's on Rip's phone, and it's on Jackson.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
It's on Jackson's computer bank. Like, they call it they rename it the Pierce Consumer Products, but it's it's literally just the OCP logo.
Yeah, I took that as was a bit of an homage, like a little Easter egg kind of thing.
I didn't like it. That pissed me off.
You're protective of
fucking
your
RoboCop. Get out of here. Yeah,
you're protective.
RoboCop. Get the fuck out of here.
See, an average RoboCop fan, somebody who's seen all the movies and likes the series and that sort of stuff, like myself, be like, oh, a little Easter egg. Steve's such a RoboCop fan that he's protective of his RoboCop, and he's like, don't you fucking do that. Don't you fucking take that logo.
Don't sully RoboCop with your filthy hands. RoboCop is a 9.5.
with your filthy above average. You're giving this a 6 and RoboCop's a 9.5. RoboCop is a 9.5. Yeah. But how can you say this is only 3.5 points below RoboCop?
Oh, because I mean, it's still, like I said, it still tries stuff, and Steven Dorff does a decent job. There's like
Steven Dorff is the only saving grace of this movie. Otherwise, it's a fucking 2.
I don't find it unwatchable. It's
without
dumb,
Steven Dorff,
but it's not unwatchable.
No, 1 is unwatchable for me. 1 is unwatchable. 0.5, like fish piss, is like is painful.
Like where do you like
one?
See, we're gonna have to have like a whole episode of like where we just put
calibration. Yeah. Yeah, because like Dan was saying in the chat, which I do not agree with his sentiment. He said fish piss makes Killer Trees look like Patton, which I do not agree with. I will take Killer Tree 100 times over fish piss.
Yeah, no, he's agreeing with you on that. He's saying fish piss is so bad it makes Killing Tree look like Patton.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't read this. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I misread that. Yes, Killer Tree. So like if fish piss is a 0.5, Killing Tree's like a 2 to a 3.
Yeah.
I would say if Killing Tree is a 2, this movie's a 3. It's certainly not as bad as Killing Tree. I had more fun watching Killing Tree.
Mm-hmm.
I will absolutely say I had more fun watching Killing Tree. Is it a better movie? No, this is a better movie. This has a little bit more vision to it, has better performances, but it's also fucking boring. Killing Tree wasn't boring.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Killing Tree was boring a lot
not
of times.
Not as boring as this. This movie had a fucking ton of the greatest sin a movie can have for me is boring. I guess maybe that's what it is. I'm really weighting boringness as something that knocks it down.
Yeah.
Anyway, look out for that calibration episode soon where we just do rapid fire which we should do this. This would be fun. Just rapid fire movies just in the Patreon or whatever. And we just have people just rapid fire titles of movies. And we just do that 6, 5, and we just throw numbers out.
Right.
And we get an idea. That's our calibration.
We'll do that. We'll do that as like a 15-minute bonus to an episode that we record on Discord.
Yes, I like that. All right, Dan likes it too in the chat. We're gonna do that. All right. Anything else, Steve? We should mention. Like I said, we got our showdown episode next week for September. Go follow us on the social medias. What else am I forgetting?
And sign up for Halloween is Forever on Patreon, so you can get that Youth Group is Forever dropping soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to drop that soon, and we might be even doing some extra little spooky ooky shit around Halloween season. So go take advantage. All right. For the Halloween is Forever crew, I'm Brian.
And I'm Rip.
That's a good nickname. We should just take that. Run with it. You're Rip from now on.
Yeah.
Brian and Rip. Big Brian and Rip. Bye.